for the World Cup final. Yes, one team has been announced. Welcome to Bet365 for the win. A beautiful home for the beautiful game. I'm James Sharman, joined by Gareth Wheeler, Ollie Platt and Christian Jack. Also today, who'll Spain meet in Sunday's final, England or Argentina? And a 64-team World Cup. It's coming, believe me, but don't blame me. We'll talk about whether they should bring it aboard or not in a few minutes' time. But to start with, Spain 2, France 0. Ollie, let's start with you. What a performance by Spain. It seemed any rhythm France even felt the smallest amount of, it was trounced on by this remarkable Spanish performance.
Yeah, pretty masterful, to be honest, in terms of the way they want to play the game. This was a masterclass of it. And I think in a World Cup that has been dominated by stars, this game really burst that bubble because it was the better team. It was the team with the clearer idea of how they wanted to play, the team that imposed themselves. Obviously, Spain have some tremendous players. Lamine Yamal was very good today, but it felt like a team where the pieces almost are interchangeable and there's no real clear weaknesses. And that was superior to France on the day. I've got to say, I found France very, very disappointing. I don't think this was just Spain being brilliant and completely subjugating them. I just didn't think they seemed to come into this game with an idea of how they were going to counteract anything that Spain were clearly going to try to do to win this game today. But to focus on Spain, the winners first and foremost, it was a dominant performance and another one where, you know, again, as much as the stars have dominated this particular World Cup, what often comes out at the end is the midfields. I think when you look back over recent winners, that's the area of the pitch where they're often superior to the rest of the fields. And today, you know, Rodri, as he has been for years for Spain, Fabian Ruiz was brilliant as well. That was the area in which they really just kind of showed their superiority against the French side that didn't seem to have many answers in that area of the pitch in particular.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I would say that for me, I think it's one of the greatest World Cup semi-final performances of all time. You know, it's certainly in modern memory. You know, I've been fortunate to have watched each of the last 18 semi-finals live all the way back to 1990. And, you know, when you think about those semi-finals, a lot of those semi-finals are tense, they're tight, they're decided by moments. And I looked into it, 14 of those 18 were decided by one goal or less. The only ones that weren't were the two last time, which were pretty convincing. Argentina over Croatia, France over Morocco, the 7-1 dismantling of Brazil, and then that fabulous Italy-Germany game in 2006 that was just decided in the last second in extra time, which was a very close game. So when you think about true one-sided semi-finals, this is right up there. And to put that into context, history will tell the story of it being Spain 2, France 0, but present day needs to tell the story about just how remarkable France were coming into this. And in the eyes of many, the favorites to win the game, and they were just deemed irrelevant by what was a brilliant performance by Spain. So for me, as I said, one of the best performances you're ever going to see in a World Cup semi-final, and one that will make them overwhelming favorites on Sunday.
Yeah, the manager counts here. And it's a little bit awkward that on the day that Didier Deschamps manages his 26th World Cup game, the most of any manager all time, he gets outmanaged by De La Fuente, who once again proved that he can set up his team. That's the key word, his team to win. Since he took over, this team has only lost one knockout or one game in a major tournament, and that was in penalties in Qatar. That's it. They just all they do is win. And now they beat the French team 3 times in a row. And it's 3 major tournaments, the Euros, the Nations League, and now the World Cup. I just think that he's such a brilliant manager. It shows how important it is to have a system within your country and be able to not only bring players through, but bring coaches through as well. And he's really the poster boy of it. No real experience at the professional level, big experience, but just an individual who's really sharpened his teeth with the Spanish national team programs and has worked their way through. This team now, aside from penalty shootouts, is unbeaten in their last 37 games. For whatever reason, Spain was just underrated coming into this game, and I fully understand the strength of the French side, but the French back line was rarely tested. There was a considerable mismatch on the field. Lamine Yamal against Luca Digne down the Spanish right side, left side. And when Pedro Porro came on to attack as well, it just meant double trouble, especially when Saliba went out of the game. And just the French just completely lost their bearings after that, just superiorly organized. a side that's worth their weight in gold, and a team that's going to be fighting for the ultimate golden prize at the end of this. I just think that sometimes we look at the names on the back of the kits rather than the teams that are in front of us. And this team throughout the tournament has been full marks. And just one more thing, I think France was able to take advantage of just their pace and their attacking games. They played every one of their matches outside at this World Cup. This was their first game in a climate-controlled indoor stadium where the other team has sufficient legs to go on and take them on a little bit. I think that that's been an emerging story of this World Cup, how differently the games are played outside from how they're played inside. KJ, you've been in both. And I mean, the tempo of the games and the way that they're played in an outdoor stadium versus the indoor stadium, it's like night and day within this tournament.
Well, listen, I mean, let's be honest. Entering this match, 16 goals France has scored. They'd rolled through most teams. And let's be honest, a relatively, I won't say an easy run, but you have Morocco. You have, some of these teams that haven't been that great. Paraguay was poor. Sweden, not great. In this one, look at the XG. 0.31 for a French team with that front four. That is unbelievable compared to 1.63 for the Spaniards. France were poor. As good as Spain was, KJ, France was poor. Was it partly because they haven't been tested just yet? Or was it down to the humidity or lack thereof, as Wheels mentions there?
Well, there's a few things for me. I was talking to some Argentina fans on the plane to Atlanta today about it, and I felt that Spain had the edge because of the way that they played them in the last 2 years. And if you watch those games really closely, obviously people throw out the scores, but in the Euros, Spain were way better than the French. And it was very close, but they dominated possession in the game. Then France couldn't get in the game. And the other one, the 5-4 game, they dismantled them at times. So it was a familiar pattern for me that they just couldn't play themselves. There's some real football irony here. Deschamps is the epitome of pragmatism when it comes to football management and a conservative coach. And in 2016, when they were very close to winning the Euros, and many would say they should have, he was almost castigated for playing three central midfielders and not being this, swashbuckling attacking team. Then they went and won the World Cup by doing the same way. And then they went and got and came back in that fabulous final 4 years ago and in the same way. And so, for them to carry on that going on, they were up against history. You think about World Cups, teams that just go and storm through their way to win a World Cup the way that they've done it, you're really only looking at Brazil in 1970, maybe Brazil 02, potentially you could go there. But rarely does a team at the start who are the best team storm their way through and win it. They often have games like this. And I just felt that Deschamps was probably, in the end, almost biting his nails on the bench going, yeah, I had to play this way, but my old way, I wonder how I would have played against them.
Ollie, it's a great point, isn't it? I mean, I wonder if entering this World Cup, he thought, I've got my trophy. This is my last tournament. My legacy's set. So now I'm going to give the people what they want. And if it doesn't work out, told you, that's why. That's why I had three midfielders, holding midfielders in those other games all those years ago. Could that be what it was? Deep down, he's a good guy. I did tell you this would happen.
I don't know. Maybe that could have helped today. Maybe it could have helped them get a bit more control on the midfields. But I also think that 2018 midfield was just much better. You had N'Golo Kante in there. Pogba played the best football of his career, I think, in that tournament. He was incredibly disciplined, which hasn't always been the case. I thought today that when we talk about the best team in the tournament, we're talking about the best team being the best when they play on their terms, in their way, right? I don't think France are the best team if they're playing on Spain's terms. And that was my frustration today was, maybe there was a plan and Spain were just too good and never let France get any kind of, impose themselves in any way on the game whatsoever. But I didn't see a lot of evidence of it. If you're France, how are you going to make that game more transitional? How are you going to make it more physical? Can you be a bit more man-to-man, create a lot of duels, create a bit of chaos in the game? There just wasn't really any of that. And I don't know how much of an attempt there was, as opposed to saying, we've got the better players, we've got this unbelievable front four, and they're going to carry us through. So I didn't think it was a great day for Deschamps, as much as his track record with France, when it's looked back on, will look very good, and he's got a World Cup under his belt. I was disappointed today. I just didn't think they looked like they had many answers or even a question to ask of how Spain were always going to approach this game in terms of control, slow it down, don't give anything cheap away, don't let them play in transition. There was no real kind of attempt to play the game on a different set of terms.
Yeah, not enough width as well. Just a couple of things quickly. Like the two Spanish fullbacks are excellent going forward and played well today. But the decision to replace Desiree Doué, who played really well against Morocco, with Barcola, I don't think that necessarily came off. Michael Olise really picked on teams when he was playing inside, when he was playing weaker opposition. I think he's better on the outside and coming in, being a little bit more inverted, bringing the fullback up. Koundé was nailed back. That wide area, Dembele and Olise were both coming inside. There was no positional integrity there, and that's where they had to win that battle. That's how they were going to have more joy in transition, was finding space and opportunity out wide, and they absolutely had none. Like zero over the course of the game. And I thought that was a real turning point of the match. And the other thing, Tchouaméni comes in after not playing a couple of games. I know that Kone is dealing with a little bit of a knee injury as well, but another peculiar change. I wonder what the thought process was behind that, bringing in a player who's clearly not 100% match fit. He and Rabiot never clicked over the course of the game either. So a couple decisions that backfired on Deschamps in this one.
Yeah, Rabiot got that yellow card as well, which didn't help him in the centre of midfield. I wonder, though, KJ, how do we look at this French team now under Deschamps? Obviously, moving forward, brand new manager, different style of football. But you mentioned 2016 when they probably should have won. They've won World Cup, which sounds ludicrous to say, just the one World Cup. I mean, most teams would take that, wouldn't they? But that's two finals they've missed out on. They've missed out on a semi-final now. I kind of thought we'd get more from this group of players over the last number of years.
I would say winning is incredibly hard. First of all, like they could play the Spain team next week and win. They could. It's not like they'd be smashed every time. The one thing that fascinates me in all of this is that modern day football is influenced by Pep Guardiola and the Spanish style and the Spanish way. And we go back to when Spain won the World Cup in 2010 and Germany lost that semi-final, and Germany came off the field going, we need to change the way we play if we're going to beat Spain. And they did. And they won in 2014. I don't think the French, the way that they play, the way that they think, came off the field going, we need to play the way Spain play to beat Spain. It's just not the way they are. It is not the way they are. They are incredibly stubborn. They're incredibly proud. And they are developing arguably the finest set of players in world football, the largest pool of players. So, look, they just came up against a team that were better than them again. And I think that they will go back and they will have a very good shot at winning future tournaments. And they are continuing to ride the back of arguably the best player in modern day football right now. And Olise is a player that can get the best out and continue to go forward too. So I think they're not a team that are going to suddenly disappear, James. They're going to continue to be in trophies, contending for trophies consistently going forward the way that they are. I just think the style question that I asked, I just don't think they're changing.
Yeah, I don't think Spain are too concerned whatever France does, because I think it has to be said, Lamine Yamal has the potential now to be the face of football for the next decade. Like he is that. Today he didn't have a shot, but he was influential throughout. He drew the penalty, just the speed and pace in which he plays at, and he's not even full strength. And the Spain team's not even at full strength. Nico Williams has barely played over the course of this tournament. He flanks on the other side. Bain has played well, but he's no Nico Williams. Or Oyarzabal up top, not a traditional 9. I don't think Dani Olmo will be in anyone's team of the tournament, but an effective player after dominating the last Euros. Just
great assist, by the way.
Laporte is on vacation in Saudi. He's your starting center back alongside a teenager at center back. I look at this Spain, it's just the collection, what they are and how they play together is just so important. And De La Fuente is just such a good manager. There's depth, there's character, there's great. They have a lot of great attributes, right? And they'll never be as talented as France. Who is in world football? KJ's right. It's not just the French national team they're providing players for. They're providing players for around the world and their national teams as well and making them better. So France can carry on. I just don't think any of that bothers Spain whatsoever.
Spain turned that into a strength, though. Right, just quickly, James. Like, I think they turn that into a strength. That there's not necessarily, yes, Yamal, but we know he's been getting up to fitness. There's not necessarily an outstanding individual that, if you're the opposition, you can say, if we stop this guy from playing, then we've got a real chance. And like that reminded me a little bit of the final 4 years ago in Qatar, where Argentina did a job on Griezmann, and Griezmann was the guy who made France play. And I think it was similar today with Elise. When Elise came off, I know they're chasing the game at that point and they have to throw everything forwards, but that was when France started to have a little bit of something in the game, because maybe it was kind of less everything going through one person who'd been very effectively managed by Spain. With Spain, who do you do that to? You could say Rodri maybe, but there's plenty of players around him capable of setting the tempo as well. It's difficult to really kind of know where to look in terms of shutting down that team.
Well, I mean, Ollie, it's a great point, because there are obviously individual stars throughout that lineup, but at this point, there haven't been moments per se for the Spanish team. They've just got the job done. They've been somewhat pragmatic. Today was by far their best performance, and they were, world beaters clearly. But you're seeing team players like Pedro Porro and Cucurella becoming these world-class wide players. And listen, good players, don't get me wrong, but they don't play like that for Chelsea or Spurs or Real Madrid, I guess, moving forward now for Cucurella. A good player, but it's amazing how they step it up. Do you think De La Fuente has a pick in the Argentina-England game, a team he'd rather face, or at this point he knows we're going to beat whoever it is, so it doesn't matter?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to it. I think maybe he'd rather play Argentina. That's difficult to say just because of Messi and his ability to transform any game. But I think Spain would feel like they could control things against Argentina, take away some of Argentina's strengths, maybe having more similarities to Spain. And I think Argentina are vulnerable at the back. They're quite fortunate to still be in the competition, I think, in some ways. England's, Spain could just absolutely put them under the thumb like they've done in the past. That's a possibility. But I think there's a bit more physicality there, a bit more defensive presence, maybe the potential to cause them more problems. But that being said, I think they'll feel like they've won the hardest game today. That felt like the final to me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I just want to add about the individual players. We saw a shot today in the box where we saw Iker Casillas, my favorite player of all time, Xavi Hernandez. We saw Sergio Ramos and we saw Carlos Puyol, and they're seen as legendary, right? Legend players, and they are because of what they accomplished. And sometimes when you're seeing present day legends, it's hard to think about them in the same way. We're going to think that way about Rodri. He's that good. Yeah. He's that good. Okay. Now, I love Sergio Busquets, and Busquets was a marvelous player. Xabi Alonso, a brilliant player. Both of them brilliant sixes. This guy's better. He's better. And he is ultimately, you could say, the most important player at the World Cup. With all the stars going forward, of all the stars scoring goals, he is the computer. He is whatever you want to call him in the middle of the park that makes that team tick. And that's why they're in a World Cup final. If you take him out and put Zubimendi in, they're a really good team. But with him in it, they're a great team.
Yeah, midfielders typically win the golden ball, don't they, KJ? And I said it last week on here, bet365 for the win. Like, get your Rodri ticket if you think that Spain are going to go on and win this, because he's just been so important to this team. And it's been a long road to recovery for him as well. Didn't have a great year at Manchester City, returning from a really, really bad injury. But man, he looks in form right now. And now you understand why Jose Mourinho wants him at Real Madrid as well, with his collection of 30-somethings, which is now maybe going to become a little bit more trendy, 30-something-year-old players now. And it's not just the 22-year-olds that can get the job done. Just to answer your question really quickly, there are so many players that play in Spain across both the Argentine side and the England side. I think Spain, just based upon the history, I think they want to play England in this one. I'm not sure if it'll work out for them. I think it's going to be a really good final. It's going to be outdoors, something to keep in mind, hot weather. I think there's a bunch of forest fires around. The conditions won't be great for the final mid-afternoon in New York City. But I think they prefer to play England in that game, especially based upon the path. Like, England had played 2 grueling games at the Azteca, then in 40-degree heat in Miami. Just wonder whether and when that might catch up to the English at some points.
Wheels, listen, we're getting to that, right? The next block. We're getting all England, all Argentina. We can talk all about that, okay? So settle down. Okay, there you have it. We have one final berth at this year's World Cup after about, is it 6 weeks, almost 6 weeks at this point? I think it probably is. We have Spain in the final. Will it be England or will it be Argentina? On the other side, just for wheels, we're going to spend the whole block breaking down just that. England, Argentina, there's so much ahead of this one. More than just the history. Maybe not. It's going to be a classic, though, I've got a feeling. We'll talk all about that and much more when we come back.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by bet365.
The game isn't over yet, but Gary just got paid with Bet365's early payout when his team went up 2 goals. Now, Gary can't stop celebrating. And honestly, we're not even sure he knows how.
Or forever hold this.
Download the Bet365 app and get paid out early when your team goes up 2 goals.
Here. Oh, what a move. That is a quality ball. Now the run into the box.
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules and the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
Who won the most Canadian Classics?
it's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing. Together.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by bet365.
In that bus, some really, really good footballers. Argentina arriving in Atlanta, eyeing back-to-back World Cup finals. In fact, 3 of the past 4 World Cup finals, if they can get through England. Speaking of which, here's England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, none too plussed apparently about playing against, Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I think he's scored so many goals that he's contributed to so many goals as well over his career, and it's great to be able to finally come up against him for so long and watching him as a kid. And yeah, but we all know how good Messi is, but we also know how good Argentina is, so we can't just solely rely on Messi. We've got to focus on the other strengths as well and the other weaknesses we can take advantage of. Everyone will talk about Messi because he's one of the goats of the game, but you can't look past how the ability and the talent we've got in the squad going forward, defensively, togetherness. We've got it all there, and that's what we need to put on show on Wednesday. But we also can't just talk about Messi. They're a good side and they're reigning champions. So yeah, they're a good side, but we've got so much ability in our squad going forward, and we're hard to break down. We've got that resilience, we've got that togetherness, and we've got that mentality. That's what makes it a good team.
KJ, you're in Atlanta right now. I do wonder, does Jordan Pickford really look forward to playing against Lionel Messi? Just because he could say, yeah, I played against a great one, the GOAT. Or deep down, is he not going to sleep very well tonight? Is my question.
Apparently they're a good side. I think you said it about 5 times there. I'm sure he'll probably sleep well. I think the biggest thing I'm wondering here with all of us thinking about this is, who are the favorites going in? And there's been a lot of talk about Argentina being a good side. And there's some of them people talking about the fact that they've got some flaws in this World Cup. But I just think because of the Messi factor and because of the fact that they've done this before and the mental toughness that they have, 2 of the things that this team haven't done for England, they've not done it before, and I'm not sure if they do have that mental toughness until they show it, just makes this team and the mystique of them still being that favorites. Now, we might be sitting here talking tomorrow going, an end of an era, and I can see a pathway to that, and I'm sure all of us could. They just keep defying the odds, though, and I think as they continue to do that as champions, they've earned the right to have that, the ability to give them that kind of way of going forward. Yeah, they have the right to say, okay, you don't play that well. I think they've earned the right to give them a pass on some of that until we see otherwise.
Yeah, that's a valid point, Wheels, isn't it? How neither team's played great football so far, but they've found a way, resilience, call it what you want. But Argentina are the world champions. They've earned the right to do that. Who has impressed you the most or the least entering this one?
Yeah, I don't think either have been as bad as advertised. I think that both have been good enough, and that's all you need to do. And B, as the tournament rolls on, but I think that both sides have shown something. As for England's concerned, the most wildest statistic is that England are in a World Cup semifinal and not one player from the Premier League has scored a goal at this World Cup. That is wild for any England side. Wow. But when you have Kane and Bellingham leading a line with a resilient, well-managed team behind them, really good things happen. And as good as Harry Kane was during the group stage, Jude Bellingham has been the star over the course of the knockout stages. And I just look at whether it's Martinez or Cuti Romero, like who is going to try to stop or who is going to be able to handle Kane and Bellingham and the form that they're in right now. I just think it's like a real big mismatch on the field unless Argentina kicks and whacks and just tries to kill out the game before the ball gets to them. I think that England have shown in this tournament that they're very comfortable with not having the ball. And quite frankly, I think this might be the perfect matchup for Thomas Tuchel. He wants a team that will challenge them a little bit more head on. They can go toe to toe. They can play a little bit more on the counterattack. I think that suits England down to a T. So I think I've actually been more pleasantly surprised by the way that England performed over this World Cup, because they played so many games that England teams in past years with potentially even bigger stars in the side would have folded like a cheap suit. This team doesn't do that. I don't think that that's the way that they're built. I don't think that's the way that they're led. So they've shown me something completely different. And I think rightfully the bookmakers have followed suit by making them the favorites heading into this one.
You agree, Ollie? The matchup favors England?
Maybe. I think what I'm hoping for, and maybe I think what everyone is hoping for, is this is going to be like a heavyweight bout where both boxers just trade punches for 90 minutes, maybe 120 minutes, and they're both going to be on the mat at some point, and they're probably both going to get up, and it's going to be who goes down and stays down. Like that's what it feels like with these two teams, because you know it feels like it's a lot about mentality, and it's a lot about just the refusal to die, which neither of them seem to want to do, despite being in very precarious positions at various points of this tournament. So Argentina have proven that they have that in abundance at this World Cup and the last one. For England, like Will says, I think it's a newer thing, but it's clearly there. The way they came through Azteca, and even the way they came through the Norway game, where, to be honest, I thought their manager made a bit of a mess of it in the second half. And that, like he rightly said, was all about mentality more than it was a really polished performance. So maybe it goes completely the opposite direction, and it's a much more tactical and kind of low-key battle, as these games sometimes can. But I think the game a lot of people will be expecting, and like I said, hoping for, is one where, this is a lot more about who can dig deeper, who can be the last team standing, maybe it is, than what you saw today between France and Spain.
0-2 was, of course, the Beckham penalty to win. 98 was the Beckham red card. 86, we all know happened that year. It's such an emotional match, this one, KJ. Now, listen, it might surprise the viewers out there, but there is some England love on this show today. Are you able to remove the broadcaster journalist hat for 90 minutes and try and enjoy this one? Or is it impossible to enjoy? Because I'm not going to enjoy it. I know that much.
No, by the way, you won't believe this. It's the God's honest truth. I bought it the plane today, and it was gate 86. I had a smile on my face, and there was lots, and there was not any England supporters. It was all full of Argentina supporters. So I thought that was quite ironic. Not really. I don't think you can enjoy it that way. I mean, look, I find myself at this point as an analyst looking at these two teams going into this game going, are they capable of winning a World Cup? This is a World Cup semi-final. So what have they done so far to guarantee that we're thinking about, yeah, they could make the move to becoming a World Cup winner? And I think that's why some people are talking up England and maybe why they're more favorites, because I think they have looked more impressive in this World Cup at certain aspects. And I think man for man, maybe you could say they've got a little bit more talent, but Argentina is still the favorites for me, going back to my original point. So because of the ability to find the way to win games, they remind me a little bit of 1990. And I'm bringing that up, James, because that's when we really were fans. And Argentina were the holders in 1990, and they had a superstar number 10 who wasn't as good as he was 4 years earlier, but found ways to continue to grind through games and really find, like, they shocked Brazil. They should never have won that game. They got through on penalties. Then they shocked Italy. And they've done 3 games here where people go, oh, they've shown signs again. And in the end, they never looked like winning a World Cup because they didn't show me enough during that game on the build up to that final that, like, I knew they were never going to win that final. So tomorrow isn't just for me about Argentina getting through that game no matter what. It's about, are you going to find a level that says to me that you can win a World Cup final? Because if you get through that game tomorrow and England don't show up, but you beat them, I think they could get trounced by Spain. Like that, they could get smashed if they play the way that they have been playing in this World Cup. So for me, it could be a dirty game. It could be a difficult game, but it's about is Argentina going to find a level that is worthy of what they are going to be going into a World Cup final if they get through it? And I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
I do wonder stylistically what kind of game we're going to have, because you ticked on all the boxes, James, just in terms of the emotion in this match. I think anywhere but Atlanta, I think that this game would be a lot more hostile than the game that we're going to see, what we're going to see tomorrow. KJ's been in Atlanta for Canada games. There's a lot of Argentina fans that come out that are part of Messi FC, the Messi army. So it's not going to be the atmosphere that you saw from the Argentina support in Qatar. Even it's going to be completely, and same goes with the England support as well, with the prices. Like there's an element of it there, but perhaps it's just those who watch these countries play before. I mean, it's been 20 years since they played, that remember those hot button moments. Like it wouldn't surprise me if before the game, Simeone's taking pictures, shaking hands with Beckham. Like that's kind of football in 2026. No. Like it seems completely sacrilegious, but that wouldn't surprise me in the least, because that's where we are today. So anywhere else in the world, I think that it might be a game that gets a little bit of emotional, has the potential of becoming unraveled. I just don't get that feeling about tomorrow. I think like may the better footballing side team wins. And I think it's fitting where we all consume the English media. You guys have been part of the English media as well. Just, I think it's fitting that, like KJ, you mentioned, that England needs to go through a great Argentina number 10 to try to get back to a World Cup final. It's the ultimate opportunity to exercise your demons. Go out and slay the dragon, beat Messi. And guess what? If Messi does one over on England, like Maradona did in the past, then just wait to the acclaim that he gets and the standing and what it means for his legacy going forward. It's a big game both ways. And I think the back and forth is going to be just fascinating to watch.
That's what's amazing about this game to me is that after 2022, you thought Messi had finished the collection, right? Like what else is there really for him to do? And of course, winning another World Cup here, you know, regardless of whether or not they played England, would add to his legacy even more than he's already built. But to still have something at 39 where you can say that is different, that he's never done that before. And I think beating England in a World Cup semi-final, what that would mean to Argentina and what that does for Messi, like it's amazing that at this age still there is still something that feels really significant for him to add to that legacy, as beating England and like we said, following in the footsteps of Maradona in that regard.
Well, on that, Ollie, before this tournament kicked off, I think we all agreed Messi was miles off what he was at his best. Still a really great player, but a mile off how he used to be. But through this World Cup, he's rediscovered the elixir of youth or something. And okay, he may not be 2012 Messi, perhaps, but he's a lot better than I thought he was, if that makes sense. You know, I can't put any kind of anything on his Inter Miami form. Sorry, I can't. But playing at this level, against some pretty good teams, he has surprised me, which is something that I'm surprised to even acknowledge, that Leo Messi can still surprise me.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought it was a shame with the Egypt game that all the talk was about the refereeing decisions that happened and the VAR, because what Messi did in that game was extraordinary. Like if it wasn't for the controversy that preceded it, I think people would be talking about that, as just another sensational moment that this guy has produced to drag his team back into that game and to keep them in the World Cup. Like it's remarkable. And I think when you see some of the players around the same age as him, some of whom were better than others. Ronaldo struggled. We don't need to dwell on that. There are others that have been a bit better. Modric, I still thought, was able to have his say with Croatia. But still, whatever level you put all those different players at, clearly diminished to a certain extent from what they have been in the past. And Messi is still dragging his team through games. It is pretty remarkable to watch, to be honest. And I think it's fair to say, you watch him play in MLS, and obviously he can dominate that level, but it's not the same as doing it in Europe. It's a different pace. It's much more open at times, and I think easier for him to maybe walk through games. And how would that affect him on this kind of stage? And it's not had a great deal of effect whatsoever. He's still absolutely sensational.
He remains the great barometer, emphasis on the word great, because he is, about what truly is like greatness and how you're going out there and how you're going to win that game, right? And I think that's what is so brilliant about this matchup. And there's so many storylines. We could talk for 3 hours about it, is that there's two world-class players on England, and one of them has carried them through the last two games. And can they reach that Messi barometer level to win a World Cup semi-final against 39-year-old Messi? And if they can't, that just continues to show you even more why Messi is the way that he is and this great standing of being truly the greatest player of all time. Because in the peak of their powers, two world-class stars, arguably the finest number 9 in modern day football, and a player who's playing at the best club in the world, who's carried his team through 2 knockout rounds. If they can't get through him now, when? Right? That's the thing. It's like, okay, and this is what James, you and I have been talking about for 20 years. There's these different levels of what is a world-class player. Like this is Messi level at 39. And then you've got Kane and you've got Bellingham. And can you win the game for England against that team? Can you go out there and reach that level and knock him off and maybe make him be the last ever game he ever plays in a World Cup?
So to be clear, KJ, you think that Messi is still world-class?
To be clear, I think I'm okay with saying that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It's just really quickly. Like it's also a team that's fundamentally built around Lionel Messi, like with very good players and a structure that plays to his strength. It wasn't that long ago Messi went to PSG and they couldn't win. There's too many cooks. There was no balance in the team, and he left. And look at where PSG are now, back-to-back Champions League winners. It's just so Messi's great. He's an absolute living legend in the game. But the way that Argentina uses him, that's what makes him so important. Since they lost to Saudi Arabia in the first game at Qatar, they've won every World Cup game they played, and they've scored at least 2 goals in each one of them. Okay, so I look at the goal for England tomorrow. It's not so much limit or focus on just Lionel Messi. They're going to have to go and score goals. It's the way that they attack and the way they can maybe potentially pick apart the rest of the Argentina side. Like, so Messi's going to have his say. He's going to have a significant role to play, but the line between success or failure for England might not be the Messi barometer. It might be something else. They need to go out and score and punish the other potential weaknesses in this Argentina team.
KJ, we know you must leave us soon, but before you leave us, who is your tell-us player to watch in this one? That's a toughie this week, actually. Who's it going to be?
Well, I knew we would talk about all the big players before this, so I wasn't going to go and double down and start repeating. I've gone with the tell-us player to watch is Jordan Pickford, and because I don't think that England can win it if he doesn't play well. And Jordan Pickford devised, obviously, opinion. I don't think he was very good in the last game. In fact, he created that nonsense of a corner that led to Norway's disallowed goal, and that was all on Pickford in the first place. So I think if Jordan Pickford doesn't play well, England don't get through. And you think about this as the elite of the elite, the top level. You think about the World Cups, Emi Martinez, Hugo Lloris, Manuel Neuer, Iker Casillas, Gigi Buffon. Like, these guys have won the last 5 World Cups. And are England going to win a World Cup with Jordan Pickford? He's going going to have to step up, and he's going to have to be big, and he's going to have to make a big save. So for me, the player to watch in this is Jordan Pickford, with so many other players that we've talked about already. But a big look for me is Pickford. Can you be flawless, and can you come up big when you need to?
Ollie, I still don't know if he's a good goalkeeper or not. I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. You know, he's been around the Prem for long enough.
I love it.
Is he a really good goalkeeper, or is it just the hair and the attitude?
Yeah, I think he's generally been quite a good goalkeeper for England, more so than maybe he's gotten credit for. But there's no doubt that in the Norway game, like the way I think he conceded the first goal, he clearly thought that ball was going across over the crossbar or wide. And when your kind of radar as a goalkeeper is off like that, I think it throws you. And like KJ mentioned it, I was wondering in that second half, like how many corners is this guy going to concede unnecessarily? And eventually you're going to get punished for one. And England were very lucky not to be. So that's a fair one for sure in terms of can he be... I think he's a good goalkeeper. Can he be a great goalkeeper that England are probably going to need, not just in this game, but potentially a final if they get there to get you over the line at a World Cup? I'm not so sure. But I think overall he'll still go down as having had a pretty credible England career.
He's a heart attack. I just like every time you watch him, he's an adventure. He's let in a couple soft goals. Do I trust him, James? No. But at this point, you're going to take the good with the bad at this point. Again, KJ's right. Pickford's going to have to make some big stops in this game, or have to be a positive influence on the game and not a negative one. I just looked to central midfield. Is Declan Rice okay? Like, is he still ill? Like, Declan, no eating the fruits and vegetables right now in the United States. Apparently it means bad things. And he needs to be good to go for 90 plus minutes here, because between him and Anderson, they have the ability to control the midfield against Argentina. It's going to be critical whether they're on or off the ball. And when Rice and Anderson have been together, they've looked really good at times. Obviously couldn't go 90 minutes last time. If Rice is fully fit and capable of going 90, I just think that swings things massively in England's favor.
KJ, off you go, mate. Enjoy the bright lights. I know you love Atlanta, but you do know the Braves aren't playing this weekend, right? You are aware of that?
I do, yeah. I do. Unfortunately. I'll have to do another trip sometime.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure. That is Christian Jack in Atlanta. So, yes, tomorrow's match, 3 p.m. Eastern. England, Argentina, followed by, of course, here on One Soccer, For the Win at 6 p.m. Eastern, to break down what I think is going to be a whole whack load of drama and theatre and, nail-biting scenarios. All right, when we come back, how about a 60-14 World Cup? Should we do it? I don't know. You're watching Bet365, For the Win, a beautiful home for the beautiful game.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
In Canada, our future stars don't simply show up on the world stage. They are built from the ground up, right here in the heart of our communities.
Come on. Oh, lovely through ball there, Isaiah Johnson! Goal for Halifax!
From a childhood dream to the national team.
Jacob Sheffield, yes! He's done it! Canada, on top of the footballing world!
We are Canada, driven by Volkswagen.
And for Canada, BMO.
After 20 years of supporting the game, we're actually going to play in one. Let's go! So what do you need? Precision striker, rock solid left back?
We need a coin.
For the coin toss? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I get it. Can I at least flip it? Heads or tails? I'll do that. We're on TV right now. Yeah.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
This is our house, presented by Samsung, and Gianni Infantino earlier this week dropped the bomb. He said, yes, you know what? Us at FIFA are getting together in our ivory towers, and we're talking about maybe a 64-team World Cup. And we all laughed. Oh, yeah, you're great, you're jesting. No, he's deadly serious. And usually, Wills, when Gianni Infantino is serious about something, it's going to happen. So before we get to whether it's a terrible idea or a great idea, do you think it's going to happen? And could it be as early as 2030?
Unlike the Balogun decision, I think that was Infantino being very honest, because I think we've all been hearing this in circles for quite some time now, that a 64-team World Cup is exactly what Gianni Infantino wants. He wants it to be part of his legacy. 48 was fine. And the fact that I think the 48-team World Cup has generally been well received, unless you two have another opinion on that. But my perception has been very well perceived. It's given Infantino license to go forward with potentially having a 64-team World Cup. Now, before we get into whether we like it or not, let's explain the rationale behind it. And it's money. Go figure. Money and more of it.
It's about growing the game, Wheels, in those other areas of the world.
Yes, growing the game. I think that might be a byproduct of more money, more games, more tickets. We've seen it at this World Cup, and they can put out their press releases about how many tickets are sold, how many people are watching games, filling stadiums, and all that. But it's also for individual countries. The perception at FIFA is that if more countries have the opportunity, the potential to qualify for a World Cup, that will encourage investment within those countries to invest in the game, to invest in the associations, and help the entire ecosystem become more flush with cash. And I think with that, based upon that rationale, it does make a lot of sense. But 64 teams? Is this like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but just everyone gets a golden ticket here? Like, once upon a time, qualifying for a World Cup was based on merit. It was difficult to make a World Cup. That's why when you got there, it meant so much. Once you go out to 64 teams, it just completely waters down the entire qualification process, which most people might say, like, who cares about the qualification process? Give me more games at the FIFA World Cup. But that's what makes it special. It's the best of the best. It's supposed to represent the elite of the sport. Not everyone can get into this party and come along and jump on the dance floor. It's not supposed to work that way. But this is the way that the sporting world works these days. And that's why they're pushing forward with this idea. And I think unless Infantino is ousted by anyone within FIFA, this is something that will be in play come 2030.
Yeah, and he'll be running unopposed again, probably. So that's not going to happen. Ollie, I feel that I'm supposed to be angry about this, therefore I'll be angry about it. But when I think about it and break it down more and more, from a tournament standpoint, it's actually better than a 48-team World Cup because it's less clunky. You have, 11 groups or 4 teams, top 2 go through. None of this, 8 best third place team nonsense that confuses everyone. It's a cleaner World Cup, but a lot more games, obviously, which is where, we can debate whether it's good or not, and maybe an extra week of action. Where do you fall here? Do you like it, or are you angry because you've got to be angry?
I'm more aligns with you. I think the gate has already been left open and the horse is bolted by going to 48. Like, going to 64 doesn't make much difference to me. And I think in some ways, like you outlined, it makes a bit more sense in terms of the tournament format. So this is one where, like, I don't think it's been great for the World Cup, to be honest, that it's expanded. I don't think it's been great for the average fan in terms of the quality of the tournament that they're watching. I just think that at some point, as this gets even bigger, people are just going to kind of pick and choose how much of the group stage they actually pay attention to, and the real tournament will start in the round of 32. And you already had managers kind of talking to that effect at this tournament. Like Roberto Martinez came out of the group stage, and maybe this was because Portugal weren't very good in the group. That obviously contributed to it. But he was saying the second World Cup starts now. Like it was clearly, in his view, just about keeping everyone fit, getting as many players on the pitch as possible to get them some minutes and get them into the tournament, get through the group, and then the tournament really starts. And I think that's increasingly what it will look like. And I also think qualifying will just die, and it'll be folded into things like the Nations League continentally, and we just won't play normal qualifiers anymore.
Who actually does benefit though, Wills? Is it going to be Europe more than anyone? Africa? I mean, listen, all the confederations get more teams. We know that. But I think Europe's proven once again that kind of need more European teams. It's still where the best football's being played.
Yeah, but who wasn't at this World Cup that you'd want there? I know that a lot of
Italy
live where we live will say Italy, but Italy were crap during honestly, they're not a very good team, and you could have chalked off
some of the teams who were here. Wills, that's the thing.
You could have chalked off 16 teams at this World Cup. You could have just bumped them out, and they didn't have to even show up, and no one would have missed them in the first place. I don't think it's a matter of just being angry for the sake of being angry. I think it's depressing. Like, is nothing sacred? Like, in terms of the game of football, the World Cup was supposed to be it, and now we're letting it become what? Like something completely different that's unrecognizable. And I get the business of the game. Quite frankly, I like having a game on in the background and I can tune in and tune out. I understand the novelty of it, but the World Cup shouldn't be novelty. It shouldn't be just about one big pile of money. It should be about something more. That is what gets people fired up, people that love the game for a bunch of other reasons rather than the economics behind it. I'll say this, James, if they're going to expand out to a 64-team World Cup, I hope it's a completely different format altogether. You guys mentioned, like Martinez said it, like now the second World Cup begins. Have like a Champions League group stage. It's the World Cup before the World Cup. You know, and then you get your 32 teams and you can have a proper tournament after that, because 64 is far too many. There aren't enough very good teams that deserve to be in the World Cup. That's the most important point, first and foremost.
Are we talking Swiss model here, Ollie, for the pre-World Cup tournament league? Oh, please, no. No, please.
Maybe. There's this words they use in tech. You guys might have heard of it. I can't say it on the show because it has a bad word in it, but it's an emblepification. And it's basically explains that when products develop in a way over time that don't serve the users and they serve like the shareholders and the corporate interests and so on, and basically making more money. So Google's an example. Google has got way worse for the users because now it's all sponsored links and shopping and things like that, right? That makes Google money. This is essentially what's happening to the World Cup. The financial incentives for FIFA are not aligned with what we as fans would like to see. And obviously FIFA will do what they always do, which is follow the money.
The cheapening of the World Cup.
Leapification.
We can argue
Love it.
all we want, but it's probably going to happen. So you may as well get your mind around it right now, because there's going to be some really, really bad teams by 2030 in this World Cup. Even worse than Tunisia, I think.
Get your act together.
Okay, away from the FIFA nonsense, we got some more pure football. CONCACAF U20 Championship coming up for you. Starting July 26, Canada's involved. Who's the next generation of talent coming through the ranks with Canada? Up against Panama on the 26th. So that's
look out for Honduras 2030. Honduras 2030. They're coming.
Okay, listen, when we come back, it's Wales back on the spot here. More England, more Argentina, more Harry Kane. It's called Wheeler's Wager. Will he be sprinkling his hard-earned money ahead of this match? That on the other side. So do not go anywhere.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules and the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
Who won the most Canadian Classics?
it's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing. Together.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
Canada are really pressing here. Oh, what a move. That is a quality ball. Now the run into the box.
It.
A player Mike bet on just missed an open net tap-in and got subbed off.
I could have scored that in jeans.
Mike doesn't know it yet, but thanks to Bet365's sub-on play-on,
the net was wide open.
His prop bet rolls over to the fresh leg sub coming on. So if the sub scores, Mike still wins.
False alarm, people. My bet's still good.
If your player gets subbed, your bet plays on.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
There were scenes in Oslo on Monday as pretty much the entire country came out to say thank you, Norwegian men's national football team. What a great experience that was. Over 100,000 people turned out in the grounds of the Royal Palace. 100,000 fans. They love this football team. They've captured the hearts of the US, certainly, but obviously back home, still number one. Norway, they're back, and I think they'll be back for a long time, so that's been a great experience. So good for Oslo for turning out in numbers. All right, Wills, back to you now, mate. Wheeler's wager, England, Argentina, who, why, and when?
By the way, it's six-pack season in Norway with all that rowing that they've been doing. It's a good workout. So double the fun there. Wheeler's wager here. Let's go over the total of 2.5 goals at a big old number of plus 130. I think the perceived weakness in both of these teams, England and Argentina, is defensively. Both are a little bit of a mess at times. England doesn't have a clean sheet in their last 3 games. Lionel Messi and company have conceded goals to Switzerland, to Cape Verde. Like, they've been very vulnerable at times. And Argentina has gone on and had scored 2 or more goals in every World Cup game for their last 13. So it's also a little bit of hope that's embedded in this bet as well, because let's hope that it's a game that goes back and forth where 2 heavyweights are throwing haymakers at one another. So let's go over 2.5 at plus 130.
Yeah, Ollie, we're just talking off camera there about not being too many classics at this year's World Cup thus far, albeit a really good World Cup. But do you think we might see a classic in a 2-1 or a 3-1 result either way?
We absolutely could, and it may not even have much to do with the scoreline, right? When you think back to England against Argentina matches of years gone by, it can be Simeone and Beckham, it can be the hand of God, it could be whatever. So we'll see. I would really like to be optimistic from an England standpoint, and I think they can win this game. But I still have some fears that I think they're still struggling to get hold of the midfield at times, as they have done in past tournaments. I wonder how much physically is left in the tank. What can Declan Rice give you? What can Bukayo Saka give you? Those would be my concerns. But let's see. Argentina, I think, more vulnerable, obviously, than they were in Qatar.
What's funny about the odds, just really quickly, James, I mean, England's become a short favorite here. That wasn't the case earlier in the tournament. Argentina were way at a plus 900. They're odds short to win it at plus 400. But over the last week, the public has gone against Argentina. That surprises me to a certain degree.
And very quickly, it doesn't matter really, does it? Because Spain's going to win the World Cup, aren't they, Ollie?
I think so.
We'll see. I don't know.
Again.
I think it's matchup dependent. You have to see the way that things play out tomorrow, and you're going to have to turn into Bet365 for the win over the course of the next few days to get our official picks and plays.
Well, starting tomorrow, absolutely. Thanks so much, everyone. France, they're out. Spain off to the final. Will it be England or Argentina? We'll discuss that tomorrow.